Holla ballers, what's going on, it's Preacher. I just wanted to put out a quick video because I streamed Mad Max last 2 days of stream week, this month's stream week, and I gave recommendations like I was enjoying it, and yeah, if you fancy it, go and give it a try. People thought it looked cool and all that kind of stuff. I have changed my mind on that, and I really don't want anybody to go out and buy it based on my recommendations during that Twitch stream. I really don't want you to do that because I absolutely fucking hate this game. I hate it. The issue that's come up is that during my stream week, I'm so focused on Twitch chat, I very rarely pay attention to the game itself. That's not why I stream. I stream because we have a game to play, we can have fun with it, maybe we'll have some good moments, but more importantly, we can have a great chat during the day, and that tends to be how my streams work. That's how I like to run my streams, simple as that. So I was playing the game, but more importantly, I was just chit-chatting with people and didn't really notice much about the game at all. We had some fun moments, and everything in between that is kind of a blur, if I'm being completely honest. While I was rendering my WoW video today, I decided to crack on with Mad Max because there's so much side quest stuff. This has been a big controversy recently amongst many places. There's so much padding that I thought I can get plenty done without ruining the story, and maybe we can go back and do some stream week in the next stream week if we want to, something like that. And within an hour, I was like, I fucking hate this game. This game's so bad. Like, really, really bad. So I'm going to give you some examples today because these might not be things that actually bother you. Simple as that. They might be things that you're like, oh, I'm okay with that. But if you're kind of thinking about it based on my recommendation, I just want me to be absolutely transparent with what I really think of this game. So firstly, the pacing is so off with it. It is ridiculous. So there's 4 zones in the game. If you've played anything like Shadow of Mordor or Assassin's Creed or even Saints Row, where there's lots of mini objectives within each area that you can complete, and that generally helps progress towards your character. This works in very much the same way. So you have this big open world split into 4 zones, and each of those 4 zones is split into like 4 mini zones that all contribute towards that one area. So what you're generally doing is lowering the threat by eliminating the red dots off the map, essentially. There's lots of red dots, which can be sniper towers, watchtowers, camps, which have some bosses in, or they're just generally minefields and things like that. So if you're into the kind of idea of finishing a zone before moving on, which is how I like to play these games, it's what I did. You might be surprised to know I 100%ed Shadow of Mordor. I 100%ed Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I 100%ed Saints Row 4 and Get Out of Hell because I enjoyed those games. And the way they were paced is even if you were 100%ing each zone before moving on, it still continues to progress your character towards the end. In Mad Max, I capped my character, which has 2 ways of doing it, and I'll talk about them shortly. I capped my character about 25% of the way through the game. I shit you not. That's how far off the pacing is. I have 100% of I have everything I could possibly want in this game, and I've only just, because I gave up on Zone 2, given how I'd already finished my character, by moving into Zone 3. I capped my character before I had done about, and this is no word of a lie, guys, about my 5th story mission. My character was 100%ed. That's terrible. There is nothing else for me to get. In fact, the guy... So you have 2 systems. One is your legend status, and your legend status gives you talent points, which you can spec into, okay? And the final level is Road Warrior. So I was playing through the game and then realized that, holy shit, I have loads of points to spend. And then I went to the guy and then, oh shit, realized that I've got every single talent 100%ed. So I thought maybe it unlocks something else. No, my legend status is Road Warrior. That is the maximum you could possibly get in the whole game. And I hadn't even gone into the 3rd zone yet. I was still doing zone number 2. There is nothing else for me to get. My character is as powerful as he's going to get already. There's also the ability to upgrade Max himself by buying outfits, by buying fist weapons and armors and all that kind of stuff, and the abilities in melee. Now, I was quite enjoying the melee abilities while I was streaming because we were still steadily unlocking them until I realized that before I'd even got 25% through Zone 2, I had bought absolutely everything for Max. I have his best armor, I have the best weapons, I have the best everything I could possibly get, the best facial animations, the best weapon upgrades, the best fighting skills. I have everything already. I'm still like 25% of the way through the game, and I have absolutely everything. Onto the car, which is the 3rd type of upgrade system, is you can customize your car, you can buy all sorts of new shit, you can have fun with it. Oh, look. The only things I do not have are things that are locked behind story progression later in the game. That's it. Everything else I have. And for some people, that's kind of okay, I guess. You maximized your car as much as humanly possible. For me, that is not okay. That is absolutely not okay. As I flick through, it's like, oh yeah, you need to do this, this, and this in order to get this. You need to do this quest. you need to find this history relic, which are the things that are dotted about the map in random locations. Oh dear. So, in terms of progression of my character, it was done before I'd done the 5th story mission, which was something called Opening the Jaw, which is basically a Berlin Wall type thing, which blocks off the next 2 zones. So you start with 2 zones, and then you have to do the Jaw, unlock that, and you can only unlock that once you've reached a certain amount of upgrades by doing all these trivial tasks. Not impressed by the fact that I now have 2 more zones. This is where I really got pissed off. I now have 2 more zones, which are as big as the first 2 zones, which are huge, with huge amounts of fluff content in there, and there's no point in me doing them. So besides the red dots, which lower threat, on top of that, we have things like scrap pickups, history relics, and project parts. Now, what are project parts? Project parts is each of these 4 zones has a stronghold. These strongholds are just basically your home bases for these zones while you're in them. In there are projects. You can just find these project parts lying around the wasteland. You can put them into your wonderful stronghold, and what happens from there, you get things like your health replenished, you get your water replenished, you get your fuel replenished, and your armor replenished. You get your ammo replenished. Now, here comes the problem with this. Every single one of the 4 strongholds requires you to do the same thing again. It requires you to get all things. On average, it takes, if you're not going backwards and forwards, which no one would ever do, and individually seeking out individual parts, if you're actually having to do it the normal way, which is kind of visit all these little yellow markers that appear all over your map and occasionally find one, it takes about 4 to 5 hours to get everything for a stronghold. The loading times for Mad Max are so well optimized and so fast, it takes you 30 seconds to go to your old one, which is the one you've done, and then go straight back to your mission. So you either have 4 hours for the second one, add another 4 for the third one, so then you're on 8 hours, and then another 4 for the third one, or the fourth one. So 12 hours or 30 seconds, should you ever need, which is rarely, to replenish your stocks. However, your talents automatically replenish your stocks. You get free ammunition every time you loot something. You gain extra because of the talent system that you capped earlier in the second zone. Have I ever had to go back to a stronghold to replenish my stocks? No, never. My talents mean I barely use any fuel. I barely take any damage because the combat system is actually really easy. And I've never run out of ammo because I get free ammo from near enough everything I loot. It just magically generates extra ammo for me and refills automatically. It's so pointless. Everything in the game seems so pointless. As soon as you even realize these things, you're like, oh, why am I even bothering to do this? It then gets worse for me, honestly, and this is why I started to hate the game, is in the 3rd and 4th zones, it really appears as though the devs started to take the piss out of anybody who is actually trying to complete the game. What do I mean by that? Well, similar to Assassin's Creed and Shadow of Mordor, there are towers. In this case, they are balloons that go up into the air and allow you to uncover the area. That's how you get your map and how you can see the various objectives in the area. They started to lock them away behind really annoying puzzles. Let me give you an example. The balloon I did recently had me not only kill a bunch of guys, then use flaming explosives to blow up a bridge, then climb up 3 ladders to reach the top where the balloon was, only to realise that the balloon needed fuel. They then gave you a zipline option to go all the way back down to the bottom because, haha, we knew this would happen. And at the bottom there are fuel cans. So I zipline down, I grab a fuel line, I then go back over the bridge, I crawl up 3 towers, I refill the balloon only to find, haha, joke's on you, the fuel cans only have a quarter of a fuel can in each one. Funny. Crawl all the way back down, get the second fuel can, go back over the bridge, up the 3 towers, then you can use the balloon. I'm just trying to uncover the area. Why have you made it into a 20-minute procedure? Why? Why have you possibly fucking done that? It then gets worse. In the 3rd zone, there are various history relics, which are just memoirs, essentially, and ultimately I thought these just padded out the story, but later on they're actually tied to various upgrades, like I said earlier, for the car, which are locked behind various objectives. They then started taking the piss with those again. Not only did they start putting them inside cliffs, So that even though the marker on the map showed you where it was, that you had to then drive around and walk through a gap in a cliff which wasn't easy to see, then fight through a bunch of guys, then climb up various ladders until you ultimately arrive at the cliff point to find just that and possibly some scrap. To give you an idea, the average camp income that you get from just doing 2 zones is about 600 every hour. It would give you something like 7 scrap. Right? You would get 600 an hour from your camps that it forces you to do, and then this mission would give you 6. Great. And then give you the history relic. So that would then turn into a 20-minute odd thing, because you're looking for the fucking entrance, you're going through it, you're killing the guys, you're looking all around to try and find where this history relic is, because it could be located anywhere in the area. Ultimately, you find it, and then realise, why the fuck am I even bothering? And that's ultimately what's left a sour taste in my mouth. It looks gorgeous. The boss fights, few and far between. I did about 4. And then I realised by the 3rd one that they all have exactly the same 3 attacks. 3. They hadn't bothered. They've only put very few bosses in the game, but they've not animated them in any fucking way. They do exactly the same thing over and over again. They either run at you or they do a close attack, and that follows up with another attack. And that's it. They just have more health every time you find a more difficult one. Just more health, and that's it. While streaming, I really enjoyed this game, but I'm never going to finish this game. The story mode, I don't even know who the main enemy is. I think it's a guy from the beginning, although I don't know how. And I just don't want anybody, ultimately. I know I'm sounding like I'm ranting, but for real, this game had potential to be cool, but the pacing is so off. There's so much more stuff than is ever necessary, and it just makes no sense to put that much into it when you stop getting rewards for doing it so early on. If I'd literally ignored absolutely everything on the map, even the stuff it forces you to drive over, maybe the pacing would have felt better. But I almost doubt it, because the way the difficulty scales up, and this is what's interesting, the way the difficulty scales up in certain other vehicles on the road and all that kind of stuff, there's no way you're supposed to be doing that in a car that is less than nearly capped out. There's no way. Because they kill you, even with like maximum armor defenses, they can kill you in like 2 or 3 crashes. That's it. If they hit you from the side, which you can't always see, then they can just waste you completely. Absolutely waste you. So you're supposed to have a nearly capped character. The third zone has maxed out enemy camps in terms of their difficulty. They give you a difficulty rating of 1 to 5. By the time you hit the 3rd zone, which is still another zone away from even getting close to finishing the game, they're already 5-star dangerous. So they expect you to have a pretty much complete character by that point. It's just expected of you. Which makes me think you were supposed to stop your character progression so early on in the game, and then what? Just keep doing the same shit over and over and over and over again for quite literally no reward. There's no reason to do it whatsoever. So I won't be playing any more of this game anyway, as you can probably tell. And I just don't want you guys spending your hard-earned on it. Alright guys, thank you so much for listening. Take it easy. Bye-bye.